Hello, everyone. It's Tracy Malone. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. I've got a very special guest and a friend of mine. Tama Kieves is an author. I believe this is her fifth book, and I have been taking Course in Miracle courses with her for many years. She's inspirational. I've learned so much from her. We've done an interview before on uncertainty when she had a book called Thriving Through Uncertainty. And today we're going to talk about something that's really important: trust. When people have been abused, it's really hard to trust when every piece of evidence shows you maybe why your trusting didn't work so well. But that isn't necessarily true. It's not your trustometer. It starts with trusting yourself. And that is what Tama's new book is going to be all about. So let's go listen to some ideas of how we have to and why we have to learn to trust ourselves. And I'll see you on the other side. Welcome, Tama. I am so excited to see you again. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, it's great to be here, and thank you, Tracy. I'm always so impressed by you and the work you do. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Speaking of work that you do, your new book is standing right behind you, Learning to Trust Yourself, breaking through the blocks that hold you back. And, what appealed to me, besides that I just love your work and have all your books, is when people have been in a narcissistic relationship, they have all the reasons in the world why not to trust again because of the evidence that they've seen. Oh God, I trusted the wrong person. And that stifles them from being able to really stand up, and you have to trust yourself in order to trust others, but they don't, because that dagger of who they trusted is just cutting through their heart. And so, like,
Yeah.
you start with this book first, because then we'll go into what they have to do and all that stuff. But
Remind me, because I want to go back to the question you asked because it was so good.
why don't you just answer it? Let's answer
All right,
it.
I'll answer that and then I'll talk about how I started the book. So I have a chapter in the book actually that's called When You're Ridiculously Stuck in a Pattern. When you're ridiculously stuck in a pattern. Like it's almost like you keep dating the same wrong person over and over and over, or you think you're done with something, you think you've got it this time and it doesn't work. I think a lot of times we almost have to go through the same situations so that we finally learn to trust ourselves, so that we finally say, no, this time I'm doing it different. No, this time I'm getting it right. And so, yes, it is terrifying to trust ourselves when we've made what we think of as mistakes. But a lot of what I cover in the book is this relationship with ourselves where we realize we are not the mistakes. We are not the mistakes. We are not what we did wrong. We are the lessons we're learning from it, right? Like, so you get to focus on, is my identity, oh, I screwed up before, that's my identity? Or is my identity going to be, this is what I've learned, this is what I gained, and this time I'm going to do something different. This time I'm going to make another choice in my life.
I
Yeah.
love that. That is such an amazing thing, because people just identify them. That negative thought patterns is, my trustometer is broken. I'll never trust again. And we sit there in this little bubble, and it stops life.
Over and over, right? We just identify with it. If you identify with that past, you will become that past and you will create it again. It will be your future. And I guess what I want everybody to know is there is a brilliance in you. There is a love in you. You can always choose again. You can always choose something new, and you're not alone in doing this, right? So you asked me why I started the book, and I'm going to give you a little backstory. You know my backstory, but just in case people don't, I'll just share it really briefly. I spent my earlier life, much of my life, not trusting myself. And when you don't trust yourself, you make crappy decisions. You make decisions based on what you think other people want and what they expect and what you should be, right? And what you could be. And so, in a career situation, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be a writer. That was my dream. But I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. My family's Orthodox Jewish, and everybody knows my mother. And so it's just more like I got the thing of you're gonna write, you're gonna starve, and that was it. You're gonna write, you're gonna starve. That was the go for your dreams talk. That was the encouragement I got, right? And many of us grew up this way and just hearing criticism of who we really are or what we really want. And so I buried that dream. I thought, okay, I have to be practical. I have to be realistic. And so I went to law school, went to Harvard Law School. I was on partnership track at a major law firm. And I felt so empty because when you're not living your real life, when you're not being true to who you are and who you're meant to be, it can just make you feel so hollow inside. Even if you have what other people tell you is right, even if you have like the success that other people are saying is great, it just felt so empty to me. And so finally, thank God, a friend said, if you're this successful doing something you don't even love, what could you do with what you love? And that like opened up the parameters. And I thought, oh my God, you get one life. I want to know what would happen if, God forbid, I listened to myself. God forbid I trusted myself. So that became my whole journey. So, and all my books are about, the career transitions and everything. But trusting yourself became such an important theme for me because to really do anything major in life, any major shift in life of any kind, becoming a great parent, having a great marriage, doing the work you're meant to do, writing a book, it's always about trusting yourself. And so I just really decided I really wanted to look at that topic because I think it's the meaning of our lives. Of like the voice, I always say in the book, I say the purpose of your life is to listen to your inner voice, but not an inner voice of fear, an inner voice of love, and that's the purpose of our lives.
Yes, and just for the record, when you just said, love versus fear, I have taken your Course in Miracles many times, which is to look at it from love versus fear. And so I think that's a really good approach to looking at trusting yourself, right? And that's loving yourself to be able to
Exactly.
I trust myself and I might make a decision that might not be the right one, but I'm making it because I know myself and I know what's right for me.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
really,
that's exactly it. And you mentioned Course in Miracles, and I've taught that for many, many years. And a lot of A Course in Miracles is in this book also. It's got a lot of great messages. But I think the main thing I would say about trusting yourself and like what we're talking about, if somebody didn't get anything else out of listening to this, I really think that what I've had to learn and what I teach my clients and what I teach my students, it's been like a revelation to me. It's so obvious, but it's been a revelation to me, is that if you are listening to a voice of self-criticism, you will never, ever hear your love, your God, your spirit, your life's path. If I'm listening to a voice of self-criticism, game over. I can't hear anything. So when people say, well, I can't even trust myself, I don't even know. The first step, the only step, the realest step is if I'm listening to that voice of self-criticism within me, that is not practical. That is not realistic. That's what we tell ourselves. Well, I'm just being realistic. I am too old, or I'm not that smart, or I made a mistake in 1997. So there you go. I can't have anything else ever in my life ever again. What I learned is that when I was judging myself, I couldn't hear my genius. When I judge myself, I can't hear my love. When I judge myself, I can't hear my intuition. When I judge myself, I can't hear the universe. And when we have a loving relationship with ourselves, when we make that a priority, the gates of everything open up. And the floodgates of creativity, equilibrium, juju power of the universe, whatever you want to call it, comes through. So that's been my most important lesson.
and I think it's what everyone needs to learn because I teach a class in trusting again, and the thing that they don't know how to trust another person because of fear of narcissists, but at the same time, I'm like, if you know yourself, that
Yes.
they act like a narcissist, even like blink like you don't like it, that you'll leave. That's trusting yourself, right?
Yes.
Instead of being afraid of them, be afraid of your own reaction.
You got it.
That's
You
what I
got
teach.
it.
And I'm like, you look at this, but then there are criterias for how you trust
That's
them. They
that's
either show
exactly
up
it.
or they don't, right? And
People will tell me, well, I trust myself, I just don't trust other people. So people will say that sometimes.
oh yeah,
And it's like, no, actually, you don't trust yourself because if you trusted yourself, you would know how to navigate every single relationship. And Tracy, what you said was brilliant. If you even had a wink of something that didn't feel right, you'd bet on you. You'd bet on you instead of, I've always been nice, like, oh, I'll give him another chance. Or maybe this is my spiritual growth opportunity. Or maybe blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, maybe my spiritual growth opportunity is to learn how to trust myself even more. To, like, could you imagine listening to yourself as though God were speaking to you, as though the light were speaking to you, as though you were created in such perfection and there's this intuitive operating system within you that can guide you every single step of the way, but only if you listen to it and you don't doubt it. And that said, you can get it wrong 100 times because I don't want to mislead anybody thinking, oh yes, I've got this down. I trust implicitly. No, I waver. I go back and forth and back and forth, and I've learned so much more, and I've so much more. And so I invite people in the book to go on what I call a trust quest. And what the trust quest is that you make the decision that I'm not going to analyze this. I'm not going to be thinking and questioning, should I, could I, would I? I'm going to go on a quest. And I'm going to dedicate to myself that I'm going to trust myself more. I'm going to see what happens if I do. I'm going to lean into that, right? Because in the action, we start having the blocks that come up, or the beliefs that need to be changed, or we start seeing the evidence of, oh my God, I trusted myself and I was right. And that gives you the strength and the power to do it more.
Absolutely. So all of this, we're giving people ideas about the fundamental baseline of how to trust again. Can you give them a couple of tips that lead them in this direction?
Yes, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing that I always say is that, when people would say, well, I don't know what to do or how, or, for me, it's always like trusting what you love, trusting what you desire. Most of us, again, we've been taught to squelch those desires. And again, one of the most common reasons is we start telling ourselves, well, it's not realistic. It's not realistic, or I need to be practical. I need to think about blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I want you to think about your desires. I want you to think about what you really want, what's calling you right now. And when I say what's calling you right now, it might not be the big picture. It might not be like the whole big dream. It might just be, well, if I'm really, really honest, I'm tired. I want to take a nap. If I'm really, really honest, I want to go fly to California and walk on a beach. Or, like, again, like, trust starts in very tiny ways, but it's like your desire is your flashlight. Your desire is your clue. It's like, because if you follow those desires, they give you energy. That's how you know when you're listening to the right voice, by the way, is that it gives you energy. It gives you a sense of peace. It gives you a sense of expansion, right? So I would say that would be the first thing I would start with.
I love that. Again, I love that the concept of baby stepping in, and I think giving yourself grace. I'm going
Mhm.
to trust myself, and sometimes I might mess up, but
Yes.
I trusted myself, and that makes me feel better, screwing up or not, going, I did that for me. And okay, I
Yes.
learned another lesson, but I didn't know that one yet. So thank you for that lesson.
That's such a great perspective, Tracy, and that's exactly it. That really is. And in my book, I talk a lot about how to undo these ways of thinking we have. Because even when you say, well, that was a mistake, and it's like, it might not have been a mistake. Well, first of all, like what Tracy just said, it might not have been a mistake because I needed to stumble on that to learn that lesson, that alone. But also, it may not even be a mistake. It may be that critical mind coming in. So I'm a creative person for a living, right? I write books and I teach and I coach and there are some times where I might send out an email asking somebody, can will you publish an article of mine or whatever? And it's like, and I might not get a response. And so the old mind would have said, oh, see, they hate you. That's what's really going on. They hate you, you're not blah. And it's like, that's not even true. It wasn't a mistake. And then sometime later on, you realize, oh my God, me sending that out helped me craft that article, which led me to approach this person, which led me to do that. So again, the universe or our instincts or our genius, sometimes those have far-reaching plan. And sometimes our fears are so tiny and narrow that it's like, oh my God, it didn't happen in this second. It's not going to happen ever. Right. And trusting yourself is like, there was a reason I did that, and I'm going to stand behind that. and I'm going to open my heart and keep my heart open so that other things can keep coming. Because, as you know, a lot of times something happens and then we close our heart and we shut down. And then it's like game over again. We've shut down to all of life. And so I want people to open to their genius.
I love that. And I found you so many years ago. I don't even know how long ago it was, but because I got a book at the thrift store, A Year in Without Fear.
I love it.
For a year, I sat there every day, turning my page, getting my letting go of fear every single day. And then at 365, I was like, oh no. Oh no, what am I going to do without Tama every morning? And I went and I started doing the Course in Miracles. And what you're talking about is something that, when we're building stories of untrustability, it's it's from fear, right? That's the bottom line is we have to conquer some of these things. To trust ourselves, we have to eliminate the fear recordings that have
Yes.
looting our brain because they're not true, but we just default back to them. It's almost like, the gas pedal goes down and they just come popping into our head. How do we
Completely.
fight those critics?
Completely. Absolutely. And I think that's why, again, I will say it like to me, the most important thing to learn in this lifetime is that the voice inside yourself that you listen to will determine your entire life. Not only will it determine your entire life, it will determine your identity, who
Mhm.
you see yourself as,
Yeah.
right? Because, like, to your point, Tracy, we just go back to these default ideas of who we are. I'm small, I'm broken, it's never going to be different, I'm never going to be okay. And I invite anybody and everybody to remember who they really are, that you're inspired, you have a connection to something larger in you. It's your spirit, it's your genius, it's your love, it's who you're meant to be, it's who you are when you're in your strength. That's who you really are. That's your identity. And that's what we're getting back to. And this journey is about undoing all those stories that are in the way. So, like in the book, I have chapters on going from self-comparison to self-appreciation, from self-neglect to self-care, of just like all the things, yeah, of just from helplessness to empowerment, of just all the things that have stopped us, all the things that we keep perpetuating and keep us in a cycle, because really the way out is the relationship with ourselves. Like
Absolutely.
really starting to cultivate a loving relationship with ourselves, which sounds so lovely, but it's hard, right? I know I read stuff like that and I rolled my eyes, like, oh God, yeah, yeah, love yourself, get into a bubble bath, whatever, like that. Yeah. Of but it's the most practical thing we'll ever do in our lifetimes. It changes everything.
I love the sound of the chapters. I can't wait to get this book because I teach trust. I want people to get this book because it is the foundation of trusting others, right? So if we're going, I want to trust others, no, no, come back to
Yes.
center and trust yourself. And then you'll know when they don't do trustworthy things and you can kick them out because you trust yourself to go, I'm not waiting for them to do this again.
Yes.
Maybe twice. Okay. You didn't have integrity twice. I pointed it out. You did it a third time. I trust myself to say,
Yeah.
thank you. That was
Yeah.
fun. Next.
Been down this road, thanks. I know where this cliff goes. But to your point, I had a pattern in my life that I could not break out of. And it was just like, again, with the wrong people and the wrong people. For me, it was not dating or marrying, it was hiring. I'd hire the wrong people and I'd hire narcissists actually. Crazy person that I am because I believed it and they'd criticize me and I'd secretly think, well, maybe they're right.
Mm.
Maybe they're right. Maybe they have a point, of I could work on it and be better. And I could not get out of this cycle because I kept thinking, well, I'll hire through Upwork, I'll hire through this, but your pattern keeps tracking you down. This went on for years. The way I finally got out of the pattern, it had nothing to do with who I was hiring. It had everything to do with what I was believing about myself. If you criticized me or said, well, Tama, you don't even know what you're doing, right? I might consider you could be right, right? Because you spoke louder, right? So you must know what you're talking about, right? So what I ended up having to do was I kept looking at all the things that were wrong with me, or I kept looking at all the things that were, well, they could be right because I don't know this about business, or they could be right because blah blah blah. And finally, when I started looking at all the things that were right about me, all the things that were amazing about me, all the things that I was pulling off like crazy, like I've been looking in the wrong direction. And I finally thought, like, one of the lines I have in the book is I finally came to realize that I wasn't a piece of work. I was a work in progress.
Mhm.
That I was a human being. I'm growing. I'm always going to have issues. I'm growing. But I use that to justify people being crazy with me instead of me. When I finally came to realize I am an incredible being and I deserve good love. I deserve good love. I deserve good people. I deserve good things. When I finally started knowing that, that's when things changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we tolerate is in our life. And
Yeah.
that's why trusting ourselves is I'm not tolerating that anymore, right? It's all about, being worthy of respect in all your relationships and not settling for something less.
Yes.
You
And
know,
I kept thinking, well, that's all I can have. Or, what if there's no one else out there? Blah, blah, blah. What if it's me? And again, I'll go back to I was supposed to be in that pattern because that pattern helped me finally come back to this self-knowing and self-love. I had enough people start looking at me, people who are on my side that are would say, are you out of your mind? Do you realize what you do for humanity? Do you realize how many people you serve? Thousands of people you've reached and blah, blah, blah. And you think you don't deserve a good assistant? It's it's embarrassing to admit, but like I'm just sharing it just because I want people to know that at any level and in any situation, we all have our crazy beliefs about ourselves and they're entrenched. Um, and it's a process that didn't happen overnight. It wasn't like I did an affirmation and I was all better, right? It was just a process, a great healing. And so wherever you are in your life right now, take the time. And if it's hard, that's okay. It's the best thing you could be doing with your life. And again, remember, you're not alone in this ever. That there's spiritual genius in you. There's higher forces you can call on. There's people like Tracy you can work with. There's people like me you can work with. There's coaches and therapists and rabbis and priests and God knows what. So there's always help.
there's always help. And again, all of that, if we learned that it starts with us and they
Mhm.
read your book, I mean, what a change they would have where it turns into empowerment. Like that should
Yes.
be the thing on your book, because if you trust yourself, your life will
Yes.
change. You will
Yes.
not listen to the negative thoughts anymore. You will, only deal in the currency of love versus fear, right? That's important for people
And
to understand.
it's so important. And what people don't recognize, had I not trusted myself every step of this way, sometimes better than others times, I wouldn't have given my gifts to the world. You
Mm.
know, this is my fifth book, and yeah, and I have, thank God, I have so many readers that are already saying, "Oh my God, I can't wait." And the reviews have been astounding. I've Martha Beck wrote this astounding endorsement of it. Sark called me up like, "I read your book, it's a miracle, I'm flying, blah, blah, blah." I mean, just it's been incredible. And had I not trusted myself, I wouldn't be putting my love and gifts into the world. And my love and my gifts help other people find their love and their gifts. And they've helped people. Any work I've done that's helped you, Tracy, and you're helping so many people. Again, those of us who trust ourselves, it's not just for us. That, especially in the world we live in a crazy world right now. There's a lot of challenges in the world right now. We need you. We need your gift. We need your strength. Your children need you. Your coworkers need you. Your loved ones need you. Of that, we each have an incredible dowry of gifts to give in this world. And for some of us, it's in our work, like writing books or doing movies or becoming an engineer, whatever it is. For some of it's raising our children. For some of us, it's planting a garden. I don't care what it is, but whatever it is, when you're using your gifts, you're of service. And the only way you're of service is when you're trusting yourself. And it's exponential because then it feeds you. All my students have healed me. All my clients have healed me of and then I heal more people and they heal more people. It's like for me, trusting yourself is starts an incredible revolution in this world.
Absolutely. It's like that old shampoo commercial. And they tell two people and they tell two people. And remember that like screen and then like the
Yeah.
little head would go across the screen. I don't even think that shampoo's around anymore, but that message is
Oh,
is what we need
was
to
it
remember.
Prel or Perk or I
It was
don't know.
one of those that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one of those, but
We're old, Tracy. We know these things.
I know it's scary, but hey, hopefully someone that's listening understands what that was too. Um, so you were just talking about the gifts, and I know you have a gift to give my audience, whoever's listening. Do you want to tell me about it?
I would love to because, people, say, "Oh, this sounds great, but how do I do this?" Like how do I hear another voice and never even hear another voice? So I have a tool that I have used for so long for myself. It's saved my life. I've taught it to thousands of people. I teach it to all my clients. It's called the Inspired Self Dialogues. It's a tool that really helps you get in touch with your fear, and also undo that fear and that doubt in the moment and hear the loving voice instead. Right. So it's a practice, it's a tool. It works so well. And I finally recorded a really fun video, just an experiential video to teach people to walk through it. It's fun. It takes you right through it immediately so that if you're ever in fear, you're ever in doubt, turn that sucker on, learn this technique, use it. It will save you thousands of years. And so I just decided to give it to your community for free, just because I would love, love, love people using this. It will make such a difference. So to get that, you just go to tamakieves.com, and it's TAMAKIEVES.com/best dash tool. So it's tamakieves.com/best dash tool. And then with that also you get my weekly fortune cookies will come to you. I do weekly fortune cookies that have an inspired saying to keep you going, an inspired message and stuff. But the tool is really awesome. I mean, if I do say so myself, I've used it. It's saved my life. It's my go-to thing. And I've used it with thousands of people. So I hope it helps.
And I trust you because you have been an integral part of my recovery and my life and me seeing my own strengths. Because without you and the Course in Miracles and the living through uncertainty and getting rid of my fear, all of those things wouldn't have been possible. Tracy wouldn't be Tracy
Oh,
2.0 right now without your work. So I cannot thank you. I know I just got my juice talking to you, and I'm like, I think I have to do another Course in Miracles soon.
yes, you do.
Because it's so helpful, it's so powerful, and it's just a reminder to step back in your power. So,
Yes.
you just gave us your site. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience?
Absolutely. So, absolutely, and I would recommend people go to the site regardless of just because I do online programs, I do in-person programs, I do Course in Miracles, I do so many different programs. We have a lot of freebie resources also. Please join me on social media too. I'm on social media every single day with inspiring videos, just little 1 minute videos to keep you going, just in case you forget. I'm very responsive. If you write to me, I answer. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and TikTok and YouTube and whatever else you got out there, I'm there. Just because we have created a global community of people who are living inspired lives because it takes practice. It doesn't just happen. You'll get inspired, you'll forget it. You'll get inspired, you forget it. That's the practice. And so get around other people, get around other awesome human beings that are doing this. And the final thing I guess I would say to people is I always want people to trust that desire that's inside you. You might be thinking that dream you have. Ooh, I've always wanted to write a book, or ooh, I've always wanted to do whatever, right? You might be thinking, well, that's stupid or that's frivolous. I just want to let you know it's imperative. It's the code of your being. It will rewrite your whole life. It's like Tracy doing the work she's doing. It's like it's helping so many incredible souls, but it's helping Tracy, right? It helped Tracy become Tracy, who Tracy was meant to be. You have the same thing in you. There is a code in you. Learning to trust yourself talks a lot about this, about there's a code in you, an instruction in you. So if you have a desire right now, it's not frivolous. It's so important that you follow it. It will take you every step of the way, breadcrumb by breadcrumb by breadcrumb. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you for being here. It has been great to see you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Hope you guys were inspired by Tama. She is pretty awesome. I just told her after we got off that I'm signing up for her Course in Miracles course, and I'm going to start tomorrow because I love her work. I love her inspiration, and she's always playing in my head when those negative thoughts come, fear over love. Which one are you going to do? And I hope that you all learned something. Please, if you are looking at how to trust again, go buy her book. She's got years and years of time and knowledge stuck in that book, and it's going to help you. You can't trust someone else until you learn to trust yourself. And when you have self-trust, you can still make a mistake, but you're not going to be limited by the things that have limited you before. Like, again, we use the examples of if I see something, I trust myself enough to say, thanks anyway. Have a nice day. So, this is Tracy Malone. I coach people all over the world, and I am available for groups. I have all kinds of things out there. Visit my website, narcissistabusesupport.com, if you're struggling with this or just learning to heal. I'm here for you, and I look forward to meeting you one day. Thank you so much, and remember to like and comment and share this video.